Well, Rodney Dangerfield's back with us this week. He's going back to school. Chris is here.
Triple Lindy
back together.
I say the triple Lindy. Is that what this is called?
Right. So he's back.
Yeah, it's back to school.
The Polish fog is back joining us with the Graces.
Sorry about last week. Had a little situation had to go take care of.
Yeah,
situation.
Right. Was it school related?
The suspect was so.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
That's always the tie-in. Guy's getting called in more now than he was when he was in traffic, I think. Holy cow.
Right.
I know.
Seriously.
Right.
I never realized yearbooks could be like they're actually just they're glorified mugshot books for some people.
Wow.
Like why are you using a yearbook as a photo lineup?
You're asking them to just do it all in black and white, like with the background from the DMV. You're like, what? Wait. Nobody needs to be well, actually some of them will be in graduation cabs because that's the picture the media will show anyway,
Right.
But anyway, yeah, so school's tied into everything now though, dude. Like it's everywhere, especially in the South. You come back so early. It's like, well, it's so unfair. It seems like my son's starting tomorrow. And it's like, what? August 11th? You're going back to school? Like when you were like my age, Chris, I don't know about you, but you were like, oh man, I got a whole other month to go here.
Yeah, it was September. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's much more.
Or you had like a couple of days and then you had Labor Day. So like you weren't even really coming back.
I still had 3 weeks to go up to the woods and find dirty magazines buried in the dirt and stuff like that. Remember that one? I found We held up to the elements in New Jersey better than any other dirty magazine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was really weird.
Yeah. Better than us.
Right. It's an extra glossy finish that they put on.
Totally. For multiple reasons, but anyway.
Yeah, my GED program's starting up here next week too. So I just got.
When do they start in Illinois again, Scooter? Anything up there?
Well, it's starting around here locally, but in the city, I think they're back or going back here shortly. And of course, there's always a lot of hoopla around Chicago public schools going back to school because in the city, they do this parade, which is essentially, I don't know how long it's been around, the Bud Billiken parade.
But wow. Yeah, it's been around a while.
It's been a long time, right?
Yeah.
And essentially it's like a parade event that they have to celebrate kids going back to school in Chicago public schools.
Right.
And like the video I sent you the other day, because it was popping up all over my like news feeds, that of course that turned into a complete shit show. And essentially looked like all these other, air quote teen takeovers that we talked about, just fighting and people getting hair ripped out and CPD out there just in the middle. I mean, the one video, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know what their plan was for that. I think that's the first time I've actually heard of that event going south like that. I don't know that that's been a thing before, but it was a disaster. And there's just these CPD guys just right in the middle trying to break these people apart. And I mean, shoes flying and hair getting ripped out. And I'm like, oh, what a great start to the school
right.
year.
Right. And that started off with people going to jail, cops getting hurt, people getting hurt. Yeah. I think this thing's been going on for like, I want to say it's close to 100 years. It started in the 1920s.
Okay.
1923, I think, was when the
okay. Was 20? Okay.
1929 was the first parade, Chris. So you were spot on. Your public school knowledge, even though you were a Catholic school kid, is pretty impressive.
He was just focused on Casimir Pulaski days.
Right, exactly.
So, I got a funny story about Casimir Pulaski when we're done with this story. So Sean's going to be proud of me. So anyway, Always. So Bud Billiken, it's like in the 20s, and it's just it's supposed to like mark the back to school. It's supposed to be black culture. It's supposed to, just do a whole bunch of things to celebrate black communities and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
So apparently, like I said, this is I agree, Scott. This is the first time I've heard it go south, because usually they go and they have a big picnic, and I have a site down there that we do security for. And, last couple of years, people come, they park, and they bring out, toilets and stuff like that. And it's usually actually, it's a pretty good time. But I just think now, you get the crowds, and they get this, street takeover mentality, and they're allowed to do that, and they're allowed to act a fool, and it just went south, and the cops had to step in, and it was just fists and elbows, and people end up getting locked up for something that's supposed to be celebratory.
It took me a while to figure out. I lived in the city for a while when Kerry was a Chicago cop, and it took me a while to figure out that this was actually a mythical character. I thought it was a real person. I didn't pay much attention to it because I'm not originally from Chicagoland like you guys were. So when Lori Lightfoot was running after Rahm Emanuel was out, I wrote Bud Billiken in as a candidate for mayor. They still didn't kick out my ballot either, so they used it for somebody, of course. But again, it's supposed to celebrate Chicago's youth, and now it's kind of morphed itself into one of the largest African American parades in the country, like a really great event for kids. It starts in Washington Park. They have big events and do these things. They go along MLK Drive down there, and then they get to the end of it. It was always historically a pretty solid celebration. Other things in Chicago during the course of our time being there, like Taste of Chicago and all these other things, you had some problems, like gangs, whatever it was. But this one was always like, going back to school makes a lot of sense. At the end of it, you got a lot. They had a lot of people that donated free school supplies and things like that. The clear backpack policy now is in play, I guess. But to read it, it's just like, come on, man. Like, seriously, what? Like, what now? What's going on? Why did that have to happen? I mean, and again, folks, I'm not saying this to be like bigoted or anything like that, but it's largely attended by African Americans. It's just within their community that this is done and celebrated. The Chicago Police Department would be at any parade of that size if it attracts about 500,000 people a year, and then it degrades into something like this. It's like, man, it's like, let's get the kids off to the right start, going to a school system that's literally one of the worst public school systems in the country. Let's get this thing off to a good message. Let's start sending some better messages. Nope. It unfortunately morphs itself.
And I think this is
reflective of what's going on with the school system.
Exactly, and I think that's reflective of the mayor. It just continues, and I don't want to make light of it or joking of it, but when you have stuff pop off at the Bud Billiken parade, that just goes to show you how your leadership is working. I mean, seriously, that just sums it up, and it's horrible. But yeah, it was supposed to start. The school year was supposed to start off with with a positive note, and it ended up with a lot of people going to jail and people getting hurt. So,
a lot of other school systems in Chicago tried to mimic it on some level, like where we were when we were, all in the same town together. I remember that there was a mythical character, and he was a baseball player with the hat turned backward, and he acted like a jerk off to everybody the entire time. He inspired kids not to go to school because he was such a hawk. Anyway.
He was a big deal.
He was a big deal.
If you say his name 3 times in the mirror, he'll appear.
Right. Yeah, right. Anyway.
All right. So I went to, everybody's making fun of like school and stuff like that. And I did. I went to Catholic grammar school, Catholic high school, and a Christian college. So we were at high school. High school was predominantly Polish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the city. And speaking of Kazimierz Pulaski, we were all sitting in class one day, and everybody wanted Kazimierz Pulaski to off, blah blah blah. And when I went to school, I was just there to go get my grades, have a little fun and get out. I literally wasn't like, I never put my hand up in class, or I never was the outspoken one. I was always the guy that was like kind of sitting in the back where the teacher would have to say my name before I would volunteer any information. So one day we're in physics, or I think it was physics, and the teacher with the kid are bantering about whatever. They were bantering about Kazimierz Pulaski and how we should have the day off, blah blah blah. And the teacher goes, anybody can tell me who Kazimierz Pulaski is and what he did, everybody will get an A for the first half of the semester. Boom, my hand goes up, and he's looking at me, he's like, okay. Nice. And he's waiting for like this smart ass answer. And I stand up and I said, well, I can't remember his name. I go, well, he was originally from Poland, and he came over here and he joined the Revolutionary as a military man on behalf of Benjamin Franklin. He saved George Washington's life, and I'm just speed bagging this guy.
Oh, look at this.
He has no idea where it's coming from. I said he trained, American cavalry troops, and he died.
Talking about you were the cavalry, the kids in that class, dude. Here comes the cavalry getting us the Aggies.
I didn't buy a drink for the rest of my high school year that year on the weekends. It was great. It was great.
There you go.
But by the way, so being Polish, that was probably the only piece of U.S. history that I know. So
anyway. Connection, yeah. Right? He's a pivotal
Sean will
player.
grade you on that level of knowledge.
I'm going to give him an A for the first half of this podcast.
Right. You got one continuing education credit.
He's a guest instructor at this time. It's right. Anyway,
man,
yeah, good times, man.
So yeah, but
well here's another.
Education. Speaking of education, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, well,
people don't know.
Yeah, this is one that it's like really gotten big over the last couple of weeks, or maybe it's even longer. But I seem to be seeing more stories about it, and I kind of at first blew it off. But what it is, it's about these flock cameras, and I'm sure everybody now, I don't care where you are in the country, is hearing some kind of story about, oh, Fourth Amendment, it's keeping your information, and flock is doing all these big brother things, and people are going to city council meetings and forming groups against flock cameras. And for those of you that don't,
if anybody knows where I can get a T-shirt, I want one, please. Go ahead.
Put on the tinfoil helmet. Right? They'll never catch you. And if you live or work or drive through a community with flock cameras, you're going to see them. They're up on the traffic light poles, or you might just see them on standalone poles, different places. Some cities have them coming in and out of certain private property because they have agreements with those local jurisdictions, whatever it is. But for some reason, now, of course, some of it has come out of, unfortunately, people in law enforcement that were using this for the wrong reason, which always, spirals into something where, oh, this guy looked up his girlfriend, or ex-boyfriend or whatever, this person did that. And yes, there's no place for that. But what is happening now, it's spinning up into this thing about you're being tracked everywhere you go, and where's this information going, and what's it being used for? And I can tell you, even though I've been out of the game for a little bit, working in investigations, the value of what these cameras do, just for people that maybe don't understand. Yes, these things are running all the time, and they are everybody that's driving through that intersection. It's capturing license plates, and it's running that license plate information in Illinois. The database that law enforcement uses is called LEADS. That's the acronym, and that's what you see a license plate in front of you, you punch in that license plate in your computer, and it's going to come back with the information on the car, the registered owner, driver's license, all that. And there's some variation of that throughout the country. So what people seem to forget is that you have no expectation of privacy to your license plates. And that was something that was, taught to us early on. And it was things that you would argue with people out there on the street about, why did you run my license plate or whatever? Because the courts have said you don't have any expectation. Your license plate is on your vehicle. You're driving in roadways. You're out in public, right?
I think that's the Blankenship case, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, but now people are spazzing out about it and saying, what are you doing with my information? This is illegal and it violates Fourth Amendment. It's like, okay, listen, first of all, you are some dork who is going to some job at Starbucks. Nobody cares what you're doing unless your car comes back as stolen. It hits on your driver's license and says that you have a warrant. Maybe your vehicle was entered as a missing person or something. And I think that's what people are missing here. Nobody cares about the everyday average person that's out there driving through these flock cameras. The value, though, and there's countless stories throughout the country of where someone's been kidnapped, someone was a suspect in a murder, and you're looking at where they're hitting these cameras all over the place, and you're actually able to track their movements and go back and add that to make your case of why you were tracking this person,
or catch them with the kidnapped kid. Yeah,
exactly. But now what you're seeing is, and it's happening all over the place, people are damaging these cameras. They're cutting them down with sawzalls. They're running over them with cars. They're putting things up in the air in front of them. And I just think some of these people that are going this overboard about it don't really realize, hey, I hate to tell you, you're not that important. Nobody really cares about what your license plate info is. And on the other side is they need to do a better job of showing what the value is with it for law enforcement.
See, the problem I have with it is the fact of who, like, I don't care. You want to look at my phone? Look at my phone. You want to run my plate? Run my plate. You want to, like, what do I got to hide? Like, what? I don't care. I don't. If you have time to worry about people that are being tracked, then let me tell you something. You better put your phone in a safe and don't ever have a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get a new car because they could shut the car off for non-payment now. They could track you. I mean, there's so many things out there that are tracking you, and we're going to hang our hat on this that has proven time and time again to be helpful in law enforcement, from saving lives to returning property. And and I don't get it. Like, for me, like, who's got time to think about who's what? You want to watch me? Come on, bro. Watch me do my deals every day. Watch me drive. Watch it. It's like a cartoon. Bring it. I don't care. I mean, why do you taking time to do this if you're doing nothing wrong? Mm-hmm. Tell me what's like the important.
One of the main points, Like,
well, it largely is trafficked amongst areas there where people think they have an expectation of privacy and they really don't. It's really through your vehicle. And whenever we made a stop on somebody, they'd be like, well, how did you do this? Why did you run my plate? Well, driving is a privilege, not a right, and it's sanctioned by the state and it's understood. It's not like something that's like protected just simply because you're on publicly paid roadways and things like that. Now, as an American, it's still a little unnerving, the fact that people are just watching you nonstop. But this didn't start in America. This plate reader thing was first big in England. The UK was the first to really use this technology on a mass scale. And although they're called flock cameras because that's the brand name of it here in the United States, they're basically ALPRs, which is license plate readers. And the arguments that a lot of people are making with this are coming from the usual suspects like the ACLU and things along those lines, that, it's an invasion of people's privacies and things like that. And the points that Chris and Scott have both made, 30 days worth of data is dumped out. The vast majority of people are not being looked at. Can it be used and abused? Yeah, absolutely. But every system of government is used and abused. Nobody seemed to be this upset when they were tracking people through the IRS that happened to be religious, and they were using human beings to do it and auditing their tax returns based on the fact that ideologically they're politically motivated agents now. There's a big stink with Donald Trump and this fund that he's got, the January 6th fund or whatever the hell they're calling that thing now, that we're going to be tracking people and dismissing them. No, everybody like back and forth about all of this stuff about what's being done to monitor us. Chris brought up some great points about phones. But the ALPR data, the first ones used in the United States was in Georgia. It was like invented at a guy's like dining room table in DeKalb County. Was the first to use it.
They all know everybody in Georgia.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that it's you're looking at like what is the use of it. They're actually in most cases I think doing more good than bad.
100% they are.
But I would say to folks like everywhere we go, there's a camera on us right now. There's a thing called a Ring doorbell. There was an ad during the Super Bowl that they tried to convince us that it was help to keep track of your loose dog as he transitioned from camera to camera to camera in neighborhoods. And there was a huge outcry about that in people's privacy, and that you're constantly being watched and being monitored and everything else. You're going to be had if you're going to be had to the point if you're doing something wrong. Again, I'm a little like, I didn't like them like I don't like, red light cameras. They told us red light cameras are supposed to help us at intersections where the most collisions occurred. And then you go and look at the intersection and the collision data that your agency would put out and you go, man, I guess those red light cameras are working. No, and then you look back at the data before we had them, and the data was the same. They were looking at intersections that had the most people that would more than likely violate the right-hand turn, and then they would jam them and collect it because it was a civil proceeding. They needed 51% of the information. There was no police officer involved to use any discretion to say, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're having a bad day. Your kid's screeching in the back seat. I can let you go. Here's with a warning, whatever. That was all removed. Everybody hated those things to the point where some states like mine have completely outright banned them. I think that's where these are going to go, and people don't like the idea of it on both sides of the aisles. I mean, in some cases, like homeowners associations were using these things to monitor people coming in and out of their neighborhood. And it reminded me of a time that when Carrie and I, so our listeners know, Scott and Chris lived in the same subdivision. It was called Club Foot, and they spelled it with an E. And when you would go over there, they had a security guard that would stop you on the way in. And you're like, I didn't realize a security guard could stop me. And he would always say to us, well, you're not flagged in our system. And I'm like, flagged in your system for what? And he go, you're not a swinger. You can't be in this neighborhood.
Let's see your pineapple.
But like that last part was a joke. Carrie and I aren't actually swingers. That part of it was true. Now,
just to clarify,
we're not swingers at all. But homeowners associations using this, like, it's like, it goes back to the whole, like, what authority does a homeowners association have to now, like, harass you, stop you, figure out who's in and out of their neighbors? How are they sharing that data? How is any of this data being shared for any reason whatsoever? Hey, you want to know why, like, all these cities are now reporting why murder rates are at an all-time low? Because of devices like this that help us solve crimes better, because people get in cars and skitch out and leave. And, hey, the last place we saw the car, it's easier to track the guy than, trying to figure it out from an aircraft or a plate that's been changed or whatever. These things are all, pros and cons of both. I get why people say they don't like being looked at 24/7. Well, then I'd say, then put your phone down and then stop posting your entire life on social media. Have all of your neighbors take off their Ring doorbells, because that's how half the information is used out there. The media loves this stuff because they get images that are sold by private citizens to media outlets to use those images inappropriately. Like, they'll edit them, they'll do whatever. There's no rules or regulations for this. So I do believe that some regulation is in order for this stuff. The abuse has been going on forever. The abuse with paper records has been going on forever in our country.
But your abuse, the abuse is going to be done no matter what happens. But what people need to understand about these flock cameras, number one, is I do believe they do more good. I really don't see a con to them, because if it comes across that, hey, this car with this vehicle is in your city, it's entered over here, and it has a suspicion of breaking into homes, we necessarily don't have to run over there and stop it, but we run over and we find it, we drive by and we wave hi. Now he knows it. So we just prevented that, number one. So I think and number two, you can't pick and choose what you want on video. So if you don't want flock cameras, well then why do we have police body cameras? Why do we have intersection cameras? Why do we have why are stores allowed to have cameras? Like, what is it what is wrong with this particular
It's like,
camera system?
Is this one? And I understand, listen, I understand the notion of the argument of the Big Brother stuff, right? But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? You're to your point about cameras everywhere. Like, look in Illinois, okay? We have iPass for the tollway system, that you don't throw change in the baskets anymore at the toll booth. You just breeze through. You got a sticker or a transponder. Indiana's the same.
Or those candies. What were those candies you used to throw in there? What was those?
I used to throw the blanks from the electrical boxes.
Yeah.
Get rid of all my Canadian change.
What were those candies though that you could throw in?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I can't remember, but yeah, like there was always something.
Go ahead. I'll find it.
Mike and Ike's. They were Mike and Ike's.
So here you've had the tollway system here for a million years, and it's gone to the point here in Illinois where it's gone fully electronic. There might be one or two little places where you actually like pay money or take a ticket or something, but 90% of it is cameras. And I guarantee you, and I've been a victim of it, you go through an iPass without paying, you're getting all kinds of pictures of your car. They are taking pictures of every single car that goes through these toll booths every day, because God forbid you go through there and your credit card isn't up to date. What is it? You figure out
it's Necco wafers. That's what they were. Necco wafers.
He found it.
And so it's like, okay, you know that you drive anywhere in the Chicagoland area, your car is getting pinged on a million.
Oh God, my guys are getting speeding tickets and all kinds of crazy. Yeah.
And we would go back, like, before a lot of the camera stuff now, like with drug cases, and you could go back and map out, like I said, everywhere that these things go. And who knows how long the tollway authority is keeping that information, or who they're providing it to, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, nobody asks any questions about that because we've gone to all this electronic tolling, but your car is being photographed 100 times a day. I'm in Walmart the other day. I go through the self-checkout. If you go through a self-checkout at Walmart, I don't know if it's all of them, but the self-checkout thing has a camera on it, just like your laptop camera, so that if you're stealing shit, they have a picture of you. Like, so where are people? Everybody shops at Walmart at some point. Where is the outrage about Walmart taking images of you just while you're checking out with groceries? Do they say, what's Walmart doing with this information? How many weeks and months of this data is on their servers? Are they giving it to law enforcement? And these things, they just go on and on and on. You go in the city, now they do this bullshit, like to Sean's point about the red light cameras. They put speed cameras around by all the parks in the city because they want to jam you up if you're going 2 miles an hour over the speed limit near a park. And they're snapping 1,000 pictures of people a day. So when people, I don't understand the big outrage about this one. Yes, there have been, unfortunately, stories of people doing stupid shit and using it for personal information or for personal matters. But just like here, and I'm sure where you guys are at, if you use that leads information to run license plates or do whatever, you're going to get in trouble for that. Like, you have to have a law enforcement reason for doing it. So again, that's just another reason why people that you want to freak out about. I drove through 5 flock cameras while I was driving to work. Nobody cares what you're doing. If you're not doing anything, you're just driving to work. And you may still even have, here's one more example. Look at a lot of tow trucks that work, like you see them here in the city all the time. Tow trucks now, and those repo companies got LPRs. You see them on the back of their truck by the hook. They're driving around. They're driving through the city, especially the repos, and they are just scanning every license plate. Every block they drive up and down, scanning. They get a hit for something, or a tow or what. I don't know exactly how all that works, but they are using license plate readers. And at one point where we used to work, we had multiple squad cars that had LPRs mounted on the roof. Was anybody spazzing about that the actual police car you're driving around has LPRs on it? You can sit and run license plates on your computer in the car, but this thing is running those plates. So I don't know why people are attacking this one. And then, unfortunately, I've seen some of these videos where some of these chiefs are giving into this bullshit, or these city councils are giving into this bullshit and say, we want transparency. And as soon as, like Chris has said this before, the minute you say like community trust, it's like, whoa. Somebody's giving in or whatever, and they're going to back off it. But for every one of those abuses of it, there's probably 100 things that you could come back and say from a law enforcement perspective that it solved this crime or helped return somebody that got kidnapped, or a elderly person with dementia who's out there just driving around, don't even know where they're going, and boom.
You actually find them in a roundabout mostly. You just they hit the flock camera like 9,700 times and they're just going around about.
Well, but some of it now is in the typical American fashion. We don't use the democratic process anymore to end it. If you think there's government overreach, what do? You rebel against it. You create criminal activity to kind of like damage these cameras and everything else. Again, like I'm a little leery of it. Again, it's subject to abuse. I didn't like red light cameras. I said it. I don't like being on camera at all. I hate fucking social media. It's like, why do we all have to be so out there and be seen all the time? Somehow, some way, as a species, we've evolved to get to this point without this technology. But if you're going to make a call and say you're only going to look at the bad that these things have done and then use violence to do it, like, all right, where does this stop? Are you going to start beating up cops now more because we got body cameras on it? You demanded these things from us. We wear them. We put them on. We show what terrible behavior you engaged in, by and large, more than what we did ever as a entity per capita. And whether it's in toto, cops don't act as badly as the public does. The public, I guess, has a right to do that and then suffer the consequences of it criminally. We do too when we do things wrong. But the percentage of people that are probably on body camera right now, I mean, you want to talk about a data center? Somebody should form a data center to collect all body cameras that are downloaded. And we should just have a constant channel that just runs the stream of people doing stupid things that's not called TikTok. Like my parents can look at it without having
a good business idea. Hold on.
Like that. And just be like, hey, we all got something to learn here about what's going on. But again, if you don't like it, why are you damaging property? Like there's a spate of this stuff going on across the country that people will think that this is the case, but these will be some of the same people that say, "Oh, I can't believe people stormed Capitol Hill on January 6th. Oh, I can't believe they burned down a police station in Minneapolis." We're not holding people accountable for following a process. And ALPRs, look, like I said, I mean, there has to be some more regulation on it because it's a private entity that's providing information to a public entity that uses it to enforce the law. Look, we better have some things in place for that.
Well,
abandoning it completely as a chief isn't the answer either, because how do you tell a family that you maybe could have caught a guy that kidnapped their kid, but we got rid of ALPRs because Joey Skip out on the, whatever, didn't want one, and he wanted to go spray paint it, and he wanted to make a big stink at the latest city council meeting. Like, there's got to be some balance to this, and violence and damaging property isn't the answer.
Right. Well, I mean, the flock system itself, I mean, it doesn't go really anywhere. I mean, it's on the system for 30 days, but that's fed directly to law enforcement. It's not like it's, I mean, that's the regulation. They have to hold it for 30 days and it's automatically fed to law enforcement. And then law enforcement acts, the flock company doesn't act on it. And my opinion is that there's been a couple of policemen that have abused this. And don't get me wrong, every profession has bad people. So what happened is you had a couple of coppers that use this system, and they tracked down, I think the last one was the wife was cheating on him, and he tracked down the boyfriend, and they had a confrontation. I don't remember if it was physical or not, but there was one or two incidents like that, and one guy liked a girl and he was stalking her or whatever. Now those guys should be punished, and they will be punished. But I think the problem is that you have the media that's focusing on that, like this big bad police thing, because policemen are doing stuff that are stupid, and they're not focusing on this actually saves lives. Nobody cares about it. Nobody really has any idea that this happens. And why are we not putting on the news when they save a baby, or when they bring back the stolen vehicle, or when they bring back the kidnapped girl, or they bring back the person with dementia? You'll never see those stories. You're just going to see when it gets abused by a cop, and the cop should lose his job accordingly because he broke the law, and move on. It's never a perfect system, but you're going to have mistakes. But we need to focus on the majority of the good instead of the minority of the bad. But I just think it's a beat up the police type of society, and that's what they want.
And then some of that, to Chris's point about beating up the police in society, some of the things is it's led to misidentification and violent things happening to members of the public that are associated with like a stolen auto because the LPR read the plate wrong. And somebody came up to the car and, did a felony stop and pointed a gun at somebody, or pushed somebody on the ground and put him in a handcuff. Well, folks, I don't know how to tell you this, but that's how it used to work without LPRs. Like, agencies would put a steal in on a plate, and somebody would either misread it, or somebody didn't take the steal out, meaning it wasn't removed from the database that we all look at. You can't make this broad assumption like, oh, that's just, that car's not been stolen. It's been
right. But that's also, Sean, that's also
identify the rightful owner by looking at the license plate. And again, those are mistakes that have happened all along, but the media is acting like this is a new thing that people are being abused because of that. These, historically, these errors have been historic in the fact is that it's a data entry issue more than it is anything else. All the LPR misreading the camera is the same type of thing. All right, so how do we improve that? We make better cameras so they can see even more things. The answer is not to throw it all away, because it does some things in an area where you have a lower expectation of privacy. I'm not trying to sell either one of them. Somehow we lived without them for so long. I just think now that, with technology and everything else that's out there, if it helps to solve crime at a time in which we have fewer officers, fewer resources, and more people willing to break the law, I mean, our murder rates go down for some reasons just beyond the fact that it's a gumshoe out there, beating the ground, figuring it out. A lot of that still happens, but a lot of technology helps us with this. Plus, everywhere you go, you look at a map that shows the image of where you used to live, what cars are parked there. They just ghost out the plate. But if anybody wants to find you, they can find you so easily and so quickly, even in publicly accessible data.
Google.
Yeah, you can Google somebody and they'll find you and get to you at the bottom of it anyway. We used to be an attack team where part of our job was hunting down people on warrants. We used to use primitive technology all the time to find people. This is just streamlined, like AI and everything else. Like, but to me, what's crazy about it is everybody's just willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater than to look at a viable solution. Hopefully, some politicians are out there aren't like capitulating like cowardly chiefs are to say, oh, we're going to get rid of all of it because of that case. You know what I mean? I think again, let's take a balanced approach to this and see what's up.
But again, this is everybody getting all hot and bothered and crazy and stuff. And all it is it's like when you go to the bank and you deposit the check and they go through the reader and it doesn't read reads the wrong number. What does the teller do? They look at the check, they look at the bottom, they look at the numbers, they verify it on the computer, and then they make any changes appropriate. You get the stuff in from Flock, and it says it's this car with this plate, blah, blah, blah. You go, you see the car, you verify the plate.
100%. Right.
So 100%. What's the problem?
Right. And that is where, and maybe that is a failure on law enforcement, where you can't just use that and say that hit on that plate, so I'm automatically doing this. Like, you still have to do good police work. You still have to verify. That might have, like you said, Chris, I mean, you nailed it. Like, you don't just do it based on that. And like what Sean was saying about the stolen cars, and okay, somebody probably did get felony stopped and got pulled out of a car at gunpoint, and it turns out it was a mistake. Well, like you were saying, we used to have, and probably still is, lots of cars that would get stolen in the city of Chicago, and those cars would get recovered maybe at some point, but that person, that administrative person or dispatcher or whoever it was, it didn't get out of the system, or the person who got the car back, maybe they didn't contact the Chicago police. And I'm not knocking Chicago police. I'm just saying, like, when you're talking in the grand scheme of things,
no, it happens all over. It doesn't come out.
Volume, we have all had situations where you run a plate on a car, it comes back stolen. It says it's stolen out of Chicago. And again, that verification part of it is you are on the radio asking your dispatch, can you contact them and verify that this is stolen? You're not just running up and ripping somebody out of a car if
right.
If the situation allows it. But then we've all had that where, they say it's stolen. Okay, I'm making a felony stop. And next thing you know, you got 2 other squad cars with you, 2 other officers, and you're pointing guns and you're ordering somebody out of a car. Turns out, hey, here's the paperwork. It didn't get taken out. Or, hey, who's the registered owner? And is it unfortunate? Yes. But is it a mistake that happens because of that? Yes. So this needs to be used in the same fashion. You need to make sure that you're verifying that information that's in there, not just using it as the end all be all. Well, this thing read this license plate and it told me this, so that automatically means this is what's happening. You still need to do some good police work and be able to sift through that and make sure that you're getting good information before you take action.
Right. And taking down the Flock system just because you're getting some feedback, you're getting some negative feedback, is because you had bad cops doing some stupid stuff. I mean, it just doesn't. They're cowering down to the public pushback, and they're it's all like immigration enforcement. It's an immigration warrant. It's an immigration warrant. It's a warrant. It's criminal activity. Don't belong here. It's a stolen vehicle. But you're pushing back from the public because they don't like bad people being arrested, or they think it's racist, or it's not only not racist, it's the most non-racist thing ever, because you don't have a human looking at what that car is. It is the plate. The plate comes back to the squad. You find the car, you run the plate. You don't even know who the frick is inside because you haven't even looked yet. Mm-hmm. So
where you want the human in that point, Chris, is you want the human on the other end of it when they get to the car and they have discretion to say, you shouldn't be charged, you shouldn't this, you shouldn't that. Remove it all and you get none of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think what I'm going to do to deal with this is I'm going to join one of those anti-Flock advocacy groups. It's like a 12 step. You know what I mean?
Just they got some rallies coming up.
Yeah, they got some big rallies, 300 of them here, a lot of them throughout the South. I mean, they don't want these things to be going. There's, like I said, it's like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, we're again the same old thing. We're listening to a small vocal minority. It's a vocal minority that we're listening to here with all of this stuff. Like, but they're upset about it. Like the 77-year-old guy that probably should have his license canceled because he, whatever. But he's holding a sign up in front of a flock camera and says that, we should get rid of these things. So, yeah, great to protest, old man. But the bottom line is like there are a lot of people that are probably living a little bit safer, things along those lines. Again, regulation may be in order for some of these things. I think the media is glomming onto the anti-police sentiment and making this maybe something that it ain't. But the bottom line is you're somewhat hypocritical if you sit around and walk around with a cell phone all day. Your neighbor's got, Ring doorbell cameras that are filming a public way because it's considered curtilage that a policeman could be on, things like that. The very selective outrage that people have over these things. I mean, if we want to like really like just look at people on camera that don't know they're on camera, and then we can, trick them out later on. Smile, you're on candid camera. I used to watch that when I was a little kid with my grandparents. That was fantastic. Black and white television. That was the precursor to Flock all day long, but it was good fun because somebody got hit with a paste in the pie or something like that. Things along those. I don't know, man. You look at this and it's like the mass hysteria, the whole paranoia aspect that we engage in this society right now is like we're not even doing healthy things for us. Like technology could make some real sense here, could really make some sense and help us with crime fighting. When it's abused, it needs to be dealt with just like abusing somebody when you took them into custody with handcuffs and then you threw a shot in the back of their head because they were lipping off to you. Sooner or later, that's going to catch up to you if you're abusing these things. And the same thing's going to happen with the technology, only faster if it's being abused. To get rid of all of it doesn't really, it helps the few that just are paranoid and don't want to be informed. And they want a zero defect society where cops can't point guns at people for the wrong reason. Cops can't do this wrong. Society can't do that wrong. But, I want to know if what are those companies called that deliver all that shit to us all day? Like the Amazon driver, like punts my box down the driveway. I want to know that, you know what I mean? Right. But I don't want to know anything else. I don't know. It's private.
I'm actually starting a separate campaign for the Walmart self-checkout cameras because I'm tired of screaming F-bombs when I'm trying to weigh my grapes.
I'd be tired of I'm paying a price. Somebody should be scanning that shit for me. I'd be pissed and I'm out there doing it myself.
For me, I would prefer a different angle because the upward angle makes you look fatter. And when they what you're buying, they're judging you on it. Kennedy's going to come after you for eating.
I want the reverse people like Seinfeld. Like I want a better.
Anyway,
Ferguson, yes, your case is up, and you want the reversed angle because it gives you too many chins at the Walmart checkout. Yes, Your Honor.
Right. But I'm like lifting my chin up the entire time and turning my head like, do I look fat, Your Honor?
He's got like a turtle.
But you do the whole checkout with a profile. You just look this way and just put all this shit on the counter.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. But we'll see what happens with this. I personally, I think stupid people are going to win again.
Probably.
Yeah.
And people won't make the correlations as to why crime rates are going up, why crimes aren't being solved, why car break-ins continue to happen and all of these things, and why the cops aren't doing anything about it when we're at an all-time low in, recruiting. Whatever, folks. You got to take a step back and go, what can we do? How do we address bad things? I don't know.
What can we do that doesn't piss people off?
Right. Yeah. So here, we're going to end the show that if you really don't want the government to know where you're at 24 hours a day, because this is one of the big things that though I can't go anywhere without the government knowing, start walking, get rid of your phones, get rid of your TVs, because you know that they could just come in through the satellite and TV and turn your TV off, get rid of your phones, get rid of everything. And if anything is in your house is on Wi-Fi, your oven, your laundry, get rid of it all, because that is the stupidest statement that anybody could make. And I'm sorry. It's the stupidest statement that you could make, that you don't want the government to know where you're going when you're walking around with $1,000 cell phone and you take it to the bathroom with you and they know when you're going poop. Like, seriously, don't, stop. Just stop.
I put mine in a Faraday bag when I go.
I use the phone that's next to the toilet, the old landline that I have.
That blue phone next to the glass block.
Yeah, right. Scott's on the phone. He's like, "What are you?"
Oh God. Anyway, so thank you, everybody.
QVC.
Hold on a second. All right, man. What's that? What was that? What were you talking about?
On that note, everybody, thank you for listening. Please go to where you get your podcast, leave a rating, review, download, subscribe. Please tell all your friends. We are really trying to make the world a better place by making some sense of some craziness that's going on in the world and bridging the gap between the police world and the civilian world. Also, go to 3copstalk.com. You can download old episodes and you can leave us a email. We have comments, concerns, questions. Want to be a guest, have a question, have a suggestion for a guest, suggestion for a show, please leave it there. And you can also do the same at 3copstalk@gmail.com. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for taking your time out of your day to listen to us. Please spread the word. Have a great day and God bless you.